Good day and welcome to this technical tutorial where I will show you how you can clone your own voice locally on your Microsoft Windows desktop computer with just 6 seconds of audio input. And all of this is done by using Coqui AI XTTS model. If you do not know what Coqui AI XTTS, now available in version 2, is all about, you probably have not subscribed to my Thorsten-Voice YouTube channel, which you should do right now. So thank you for that, because you obviously missed my interview video with Josh Meyer, co-founder of Coqui AI. I will put a link to this interview video with Josh in the description box below. In this interview, we talked a little bit on XTTS and what makes it so special, and a little bit on Coqui's newest license, so the Coqui public model license. First of all, let's start by taking a look to the Coqui AI documentation on XTTS. I will put all the links in the description box below, obviously, and you can see XTTS documentation. You have this voice cloning functionality, and right now Coqui AI, they released the version 2 of XTTS with some improvements, as you can see here. And we will come back to this documentation and some Python code snippets in a second. But first of all, there are multiple ways to clone your own voice using Coqui AI XTTS. It's just 6 seconds of audio input, which is really incredible because normally you have to record way more data, way more audio data for a voice clone, as I personally did for my Thorsten-Voice voice model and voice dataset with over 30 hours of pure audio. This is really long compared to 6 seconds. So I'm really curious if the result is good enough by the end to, let's say, fool closer friends and family. So maybe I have really high expectations, but please let me know in the comment box below what you think on the results. And by the end of this video, I will show lots of samples and lots of comparisons. Before installing XTTS on our Microsoft Windows computer, you can play around with it on Huggingface. So Coqui AI provides a space on Huggingface where you can just play around with voice cloning without installing anything on your local desktop computer. And so let's hop on to Huggingface at first. Again, link see in the description box. And here you can enter a text that should be spoken or synthesized with your artificial cloned voice. Select the language for the output language, which is, as it's an English phrase here, is EN for English. And you can upload a reference phrase. And in my interview with Josh Meyer, he told me that 6 seconds is probably the best duration because the model, the TTS model, is optimized for an audio input of 6 seconds. Or you can alternatively use your browser and record audio directly here on the Hugging Face space. For this test, I will use a pre-recorded WAV file, so no upload directly in the browser. And I use Audacity as a recording tool, but probably every audio recording tool you have available should do the job. So let's start Audacity in my case, and I'm using a Rode Podcaster microphone for recording, so hopefully the quality is good enough for voice cloning. So let's hit this record button and record a 6 seconds audio phrase. This is a test phrase to test and play around with Coqui's XTTS voice cloning functionality. So using Audacity, let's remove the silence at the end and the beginning. So it's around about 6 seconds of audio duration, and let's listen to the sample. This is a test phrase to test and play around with Coqui's XTTS voice cloning functionality. Okay, so this should hopefully do the job. Now let's save this recording as a WAV file audio using export audio, and let's call it ref1.wav. It's a mono microphone, and let's stick with the sample rate of 44 kilohertz. And now let's go back to Huggingface, and I will stick with this default phrase. English is correct. And let's remove this and upload our reference phrase. This is our ref1 audio file from the recording. Let's upload and listen again. This is a test phrase to test and play around with Coqi's XTTS voice cloning functionality. Please make sure you input the best, probably, voice quality you can provide, because it's the same old concept. So shit in, shit out. So use a good microphone and a good recording setup. And we have to agree to this, as I've mentioned, non-commercial, in this case, Coqui public model license. Once this is agreed, hit send.
Hi there, I'm your new voice clone. Try your best to upload quality audio.
Honestly, okay, I have to say I had really high expectations, maybe too high, but I can get an idea of the pronunciation and the way and the flow of my speech, but I guess by now this could not fool closer friends and family. But please let me know in the comments on what you think. Maybe we should play around with a German phrase, because obviously English is not my mother tongue, so this is German. So let's try another one with German. Let's remove this recording. Vielleicht geht es ja in deutscher Sprache ein bisschen natürlicher, so dass man wirklich auch Freunde und Familie etwas täuschen könnte. So, let's remove silence at the beginning and ending. Vielleicht geht es ja in deutscher Sprache ein bisschen natürlicher, so dass man wirklich auch Freunde und Familie etwas täuschen könnte. Well, what I said basically is maybe it's working better in German language, so in my mother tongue, to fool closer friends and family. So again, let's export audio to ref2 wave mono export. And now let's switch this phrase to a German phrase. Das ist ein kleiner Testsatz mit meiner geklonten Stimme. So this is a small test phrase with my cloned voice. And let's switch to German, so to DE for Deutsch. Change the reference phrase, which is now ref2 wave. Let's listen again. Vielleicht geht es ja in deutscher Sprache ein bisschen natürlicher, so dass man wirklich auch Freunde und Familie etwas täuschen könnte. So this is the original reference phrase. We already agreed to the Coqui public model license and hit send again.
Das ist ein kleiner Testsatz mit meiner geklonten Stimme.
I hear my voice or my tonation and pronunciation a little bit in the background, but let's listen to the reference phrase and to the synthesized one to direct compare it. Vielleicht geht es ja in deutscher Sprache ein bisschen natürlicher, so dass man wirklich auch Freunde und Familie etwas täuschen könnte.
Das ist ein kleiner Testsatz mit meiner geklonten Stimme.
Please let me know in the comments what you think. Give it a try yourself. And Josh mentioned in the interview video that is linked in the description box, as I've said, if you are not satisfied with the result at the first try, please do not upload more audio duration, so 10 seconds or 20 or even longer wave input files, but instead choose other phrases, not other languages, but other textual input, but stick around 6 seconds. And now let's install Coqui XTTS on Microsoft Windows to do all this voice cloning locally without required internet connection. let's see my File Explorer here. So I'm in my Drive D YouTube XTTS folder, where by now is just these two reference audio files. And now let's run a CMD file, so a command line prompt. Let's make it here. Hopefully you can see it. YouTube XTTS. So with just the two reference WAV file audios. And now let's run and create a Python virtual environment by running Python -m venv, and let's put it into the .venv directory. Once this is done, we can see this .venv directory in our File Explorer here with some subdirectories. So it's nice and clean in this one subdirectory. And now let's first of all activate this virtual Python environment by running venv scripts activate that. And now you can see this .venv in the brackets before the actual path. So now we are inside this Python virtual environment. And first of all, let's install or update some default Python packages. So such as setup tools and wheel -U. And to update the Python package management system itself, so pip, we can run this command here. So let's copy this one and run it. And with pip list, we can now see the list of packages in their latest available version. And now let's install the TTS package. So this is the Coqui AI TTS package by running pip install TTS. And this could take some moments. And when you see this, the process of installing Coqui AI TTS is finished, and we can verify this by simply run pip list again, and you can see probably a long list. As I've said, because Coqui TTS has some Python dependencies. And here you can see the TTS package itself right now in version 0.21.3. TTS of Coqui AI brings lots of models in multiple languages with it. So you can easily run, let's say, TTS --list _models. And here you see a list of all available TTS models with a language code in the path name, such as the German model for my Thorsten-Voice model. And for some models, if you worked already with them, you see this already downloaded in the brackets here. And I will show you where this is saved on Microsoft Windows, in which file and directory structure in a moment. But first of all, let's scroll a little bit up to the list. And you can see here this TTS models in not a specific language code because it's a multi-language model. This XTTS or XTTS version 2. So, but as I've said, let's first of all take a look where the downloaded models, and all the models have to be downloaded before you can obviously use them, where these are saved on your local disk. And this is on your user profile. So open your Explorer and go to your user's home directory and enable or make sure you have enabled to see these hidden files, and then open app data, local, scroll down to TTS, and here you can see all the TTS models that have been automatically downloaded when you use one of these models. So that's as a little side note. So now let's go back to the documentation of Coqui TTS and check this simple Python snippet here. So what this mainly does, it imports the TTS package, the API, uses the TTS model as I've shown you just a few moments ago, and will synthesize this text, save the result to output WAV, and this is the reference phrase that I've recorded, this ref1 or ref2 WAV, the language, and by default sentences, if you provide multiple sentences, will be split to make synthesization process a little bit easier. So let's take this code snippet and simply copy it and create a Python script, and let's run it. So I like to use my Visual Studio Code for that. Now I've opened my Visual Studio Code in the current directory. So you see this on the left navigation side. We have the .venv with that Python virtual environment. We have this English reference phrase number 1 and the German reference phrase number 2. And this newly created XTTS py script, which is taken from the code snippet I've shown you a few moments ago. And I've just adjusted. I adjusted the GPU to false because I have no CUDA enabled on this Windows system here. And just to be sure, let's listen to the ref1 WAV. This is a test phrase to test and play around with Coqi's XTTS voice cloning functionality. Okay, so this is the recording. Now let's create a terminal. So we are inside this YouTube XTTS folder, and Visual Studio Code automatically enables this Python virtual environment here. You can check by running pip list. Yes, and this is looking as expected. And all we have to do now is we have to run Python with that XTTS py script. And if you have not used XTTS before, you have to agree the Coqui public model license, and let's agree this one. And now you can see, as I've shown you, the model will be downloaded to this app data local TTS path on your local system. So when the model download is finished, now Coqui TTS will synthesize the input phrase with that reference and hopefully my cloned voice. And finished. And as you can see by this real-time factor, my desktop computer is not really the fastest. And in general, if you have the possibility to have a CUDA-enabled system to use, then prefer CUDA or GPU always over CPU. And as you can see on the left side, the output WAV file has been generated. And before listening to this result, please do not forget to subscribe to my Thorsten-Voice YouTube channel. This is really highly appreciated. Thank you. And give this video a thumb up if you liked it, and let me know in the comments on your thoughts on this video and obviously on XTTS. So let's first of all listen again to the original reference phrase and then directly to the result. This is a test phrase to test and play around with Coqi's XTTS voice cloning functionality.
It took me quite a long time to develop a voice, and now that I have it, I'm not going to be silent.
Okay, you can see or probably hear the results are identical to the used Huggingface space. So, but this way you can simply use it on your local desktop computer. And now I've prepared lots of audio samples, so I played around with, even it's not recommended, shorter audio input, longer audio input, more emotional audio input, and multi-language, so German phrases, English phrases, and at least one phrase that does not exist as a language at all. So I just recorded a blah 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 to just see what the model does with this no language at all audio input. And yeah, now it's time to listen to these samples. I hope you liked this video, and if you like, we might see us next time. Bye! Let's see if more emotional audio input will affect the final result instead of talking neutral.
This test phrase was synthesized using my cloned voice and XTTS.
This is the neutral text input with a duration of 6 seconds of audio for voice cloning.
This test phrase was synthesized using my cloned voice and XTTS.
Ich bin ja wirklich gespannt, ob auch Emotionen, also Höhen und Tiefen in der Stimme Auswirkungen auf die Qualität haben.
Dieser Text wurde mit meiner künstlichen Stimme und XTTS.
Ich bin wirklich sehr gespannt, ob 6 Sekunden Audio-Eingabedaten wirklich ausreichen, meine Stimme gut zu klonen.
Dieser Text wurde mit meiner künstlichen Stimme und XTTS erzeugt.